Hi there. Doing a video is always hard. I think this is probably my 5th or 6th attempt. So what I've decided to do is not let perfect get in the way of good. So if I stutter, if I use the wrong word, please forgive me and let's just move on. I recently read an article about how to compete with the discount firm down the road. I was so intrigued by this article that I actually sat down and counted the words. 850 words. That's a lot of words. 850. Talked about the discounter down the street. Talked about turning your funeral home into a reception hall. Talked about having classes in the community and lunches and, letting people know about about choosing the funeral home. But 850 words never mentioned the funeral director themselves. They never showed there's value just in you. People often ask me, what's the difference between a $3,000 cremation and a $600 cremation? I got to tell you, the process is the same. The cremation process is the same. It doesn't change place to place. So what makes the difference? Is it heritage? Is it size of facility? Is it corporate owned versus independent owned? None of that would be correct. What increases the price of a cremation and increases the value of a cremation is you. You, the funeral director, the funeral professional out there in front of the families. Trust me, your facility is not going to get that family through this process. Your reception room is not going to get the family through the process. And your online arrangement is not going to get the family through the process. It's going to be you, the funeral director, who makes the difference, who creates the value. Anybody could send me cremation paperwork over the internet. Anybody could do that. Anybody could bring a caterer into a building. Anybody could do that. But only you, I'm talking directly to you, funeral directors and professionals, only you can guide that family through this process and create either a meaningful memory for them or a disaster of a memory for them. When I first sat down at a convention, never forget, it was our first convention that we were going to display distinctive life at. It was a social workers convention. We were setting up, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what we were going to say. We didn't even know our own elevator pitch yet. But we had a great display. What was shocking is I never had to worry about anything to say, because as soon as I put that sign out there that said funeral home, people came and told me their nightmare stories. One after the other, their nightmare stories. And they all had one thing in common. We went with the lowest price. And they started regretting it halfway through. And years later, they're still remembering it to the point that as soon as they get the opportunity to talk about it, they're right there talking to me about it. Now, the ones that did come up and tell us this great story and how great everything was, here's the great thing. They never said we used ABC Funeral Home or, any town funeral home. They mentioned the funeral director by name. You see where the experience is different here? One went for price and one bragged about the funeral director. You are the value. We need more articles about how to be a better funeral professional, how to be that perfect funeral director down the street. Forget the volume game. It doesn't matter if you serve 50 families or 100 families in a month or 5 families. What matters is that you serve those families to the fullest. You gave them the best of attention. You gave their loved one the greatest of care. And you showed compassion throughout the entire process. That's what matters. That's where the value is. The volume game, it's a race to the bottom. I'm going to keep lowering my price because I want that volume. And guess what? I'm not delivering any service to the family. I'm not doing anybody any good other than a cheap price. And I'm not down on discounters. You know, there is a market for everybody. So before everybody emails me about, oh, I'm a discounter, or just because I have a low price doesn't mean anything, it means value. How do you value yourself and your ability? And I'm not here to tell you how much to charge. I'm just here to tell you that as funeral directors and professionals, we better start looking at our price list and saying, wow, is this all I'm worth? That's what we need to do. We need to say, is this all I'm worth? And I think a lot of you, whether you're a discounter or a high dollar place, a lot of you will think about that and say, no, it's not what I'm worth, because I'm great at what I do and I do it better than anybody else. And these families need me. So as I always say, go out and do what you do and do it with passion. Thank you.